Thank you, Madam Moderator, Your Excellencies and colleagues. I come from a family farm and am active in the agriculture sector, where as Director General of the International AgriFood Network, I coordinate the private sector mechanism under the Committee for Food Security. I'm honored to speak on behalf of the Global Business Alliance for Post-2015 and the Business and Industry Major Group. I want to thank all of the colleagues today for your focus on food security in the prior 3 sessions, for the Hunger Project for raising this consistently, and we note, Madam Moderator, the importance that rural women have in the MDG discussion because they remain the group furthest behind on all MDGs. So, of course, review and monitoring are essential to assuring the achievement of these goals, whether it's on our farms or in businesses. And if we take the information gained to identify our gaps and refine our implementation efforts, we can all do better. An important element of monitoring is to understand what we don't know. We are aware that about 805 million people are suffering from chronic undernourishment. We are also aware that that by 2050, the world's population will reach 9.1 billion people, and that in order to feed them, the global food production must increase by 70%. This worrying issue raises many questions about how we feed the world, but in reality, what if even more people are living in hunger and poverty? A recent report published by the Development Progress Project has brought to light that 350 million people worldwide are not covered by household surveys. Taking this into account, there could be as many as a quarter more people living on less than $1.25 a day. And we realize this because they may have been missed out of these surveys. These people need decent jobs, opportunities to create their own businesses, and can benefit from industrialization. Private sector in all its forms, farms, small enterprises, family-owned companies, national firms, and multinationals, can contribute to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. All of us in this multi-stakeholder session are here to help achieve these goals. I have had the good fortune to be engaged in the process from before the Rio+20 meetings. It is also my privilege to work with farmers, scientists, NGOs, and businesses in coalitions that have been built right across a range of major groups. And I thought Mr. Joshi yesterday made the point very eloquently in his comments that all actors should be working together to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. We hope that countries and the UN system will be prepared to be inclusive. Calls to exclude business from this process in some other sessions have seemed to are out of keeping with the entire role that business plays in employing people, in creating infrastructure, and in capital. In fact, in every aspect of doing business, whether it's on a family farm or in a big corporation, you can say it's contributing towards the SDGs, as you yourself said, Madam Moderator. To make progress in implementation, we will need to have open-minded and mutually respectful approach to the political space for partners to report on results and refine engagement, including at the HLPF and thematic venues like the UN Committee on Food Security. We encourage there to be a separate track for business participation as there is in the FFD process on the go forward. And we've heard similar calls from local authorities this morning. We are all here to work together, and we need methods to do this now and throughout the implementation process. Public, private, domestic, and international investments are all needed to implement the goals, as are stable, efficient, effective regulatory systems, anti-corruption regimes, and rule of law. We literally can't afford to do this without each other. As our colleague from Accenture said, it's really about private sector capital, it's about private sector approaches, but I also think it's about private sector operations, creating jobs, creating the opportunities for our colleagues in Ghana to work in many roles right across sectors around the world is critical. Through the UN Global Compact, thousands of standards plus countless voluntary programs, businesses stand ready to take the SDGs on board. Many companies and associations already gather and report environment and sustainability information, and we encourage transparency and accountability framework that will emerge here to be recognized and to work in synergy with those established initiatives. For instance, the extractive sector, which was was originally supposed to speak today, asked me to observe that for them, measurement, reporting, and verification is a critical component and must be done in a manner that is efficient and effective. It must work with those existing reporting regimes in a way that does not unduly tax internal resources. To take a term from the FFD negotiations, it's really about doing a coherence check that allows us to capture the goals and bring them on board into the systems that exist. And we need good science to do this as well, which was also noted this morning. We do believe the reporting of all sectors on their progress towards these commitments is the best way to garner momentum for these goals. Governments, businesses, philanthropists, as we heard from Rockefeller Foundation yesterday, all need to report, and last week we heard the representative of Liberia, as was mentioned, talk about accountability for NGOs too. We are all in this together. So businesses need and want the opportunity to make their contributions, from the provision of data to the creation of jobs, from good environmental outcomes to better social equity. We also want to thank Korea for their call on the importance of Goal 2, speaking from a farming perspective. All of this must be done in the context of rule of law, peace, and inclusiveness, and we thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all of those civil society respondents. And